The Iraqi city of Ramadi has been liberated from the so-called Islamic State. That's according to the Iraqi military. U.S. trained forces managed to capture the government compound on Sunday, flushing out and killing IS fighters and suicide bombers who had been holding out inside of those buildings. Ramadi's recapture marks a major reversal for the jihadist group. They seized it back in May in an embarrassing defeat for the army, which, like I said, was backed by the U.S. coalition. So, Margaret, the streets so far have been cleared, but many people yet dare to go inside of the rubble and really go through these buildings that have fallen because it's believed that ISIS has left behind a lot of booby traps, a lot of bombs that are still unexploded inside of those areas, which they do a lot of the time when they're retreating. So the clearing process is still going through. I have to mention, though, I mean, the flag is up. They've entered the government compound. They've taken over the city, but it is still being reported that there still is some fighting going on in little pockets inside the city as well as around the city, the city limits proper. So we have to make sure that that's also clear. But for the most part, this is a huge victory for the Iraqi government and the army itself. What?
This is exactly what the U.S. wanted when they established this, provincial government. Yeah. And now that they've actually seen the Iraqis step up, the provincial authorities as well as the national authorities, stepping up and saying, what, we've got this. It's really refreshing. I know Ash Carter, his official statement today was as such. But
yeah, he said it's really a very proud moment for Iraq. And I agree because, this victory is not only strategic for the opposition against ISIS, but as well as very symbolic too. I mean, this was their stronghold within Iraq, inside of Anbar province, where Ramadi's located. But, I have to make it clear that, taking over the city was one of ISIS's biggest achievements. So taking it back is a huge blow to them inside of Iraq, for example. But let's not forget, they still have a lot of other strongholds like Syria, if we're going to talk about Raqqa, for example, Mosul in Iraq, and let's not forget Fallujah as well. So there's still a lot of work to be done, but the Prime Minister of Iraq has come out. He's very hopeful, saying if 2015 is marked as the defeat of ISIS inside of Mosul and Ramadi, then 2016 will be the year of complete eradication of ISIS within Iraq. So I mean, very bold statements here. He's obviously gotten some wind in his sails ever since hearing this news, but I think we're moving in that direction. I think it's very important.
It's far from over. Look, a senior U.S. military official, under the condition of anonymity, told a news correspondent that this is far from over. 45% of Ramadi is still controlled by militants, the northern part and the eastern part. But the fact that the Iraqis were able to step up and do something like this, even capturing a portion of this stronghold, is a big deal. Yeah, it's a big deal.
And it really does highlight a lot of other points that I think we should talk about. One, we see the Iraqi forces doing a great job working alongside the U.S. coalition from the air. I think that's really important, and that's what was used to flush out ISIS from this town specifically. Another point, they did this without the help of secular forces that actually proved to be very problematic before, if we're talking about having only Sunni parts or only Shia parts within Iraq. That oftentimes it can be a problem, and it can further divide the population. So I think that the fact that we were able to do this with the Iraqi forces, no secular army militias in here, is also very important. I think that's a really good point. But again, there are some people who, like always, are a little bit pessimistic about something like this, because there are some good points to be made why this might not matter all too much. Okay, we're talking about a city that has more or less been completely leveled to the ground.
Well, 7 months ago when they seized control of this, you and I were covering it and talking about it here on The Lip, and it was really disturbing to a lot of people, the fact that ISIS was able to go into Ramadi and take it as much as they did with such brutality and such force.
Yeah, and a lot of people are saying, this is no prize, winning this place back. I mean, everyone's virtually left. No building is really standing anymore, So it's like, what does this mean? So I can see that point, but at the same time, I can't help but believe that this is a really good sign that we're moving in the right direction. So this is the way it stands for now. The Iraqi flag is flying high once again in the capital of ISIS in Iraq.